I remember like that one trip that I went on with you guys because I didn't ski or anything. Like you remember me as being such an elite athlete, right? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you were the best.
Yeah.
It was so funny. Phil always had the best equipment, the best baseball gloves. He had everything. But we always stuck him in right field because nobody ever hit the ball out there. But go ahead.
Yeah.
I've been told you don't grow old living life this way. Maybe so, but all I know is I'm living day to day. Once you find a love like mine, you know that love is true.
Gdayall, and welcome to episode 6. Called Greasy Food, which is one of the true loves of my life. It's not good unless the paper bag it comes in is translucent. I had the pleasure of Phil bringing in some meatballs this week, which weren't greasy but were amazing. I actually didn't share it with my family. I kept them stashed to myself for a few late night meatball sandwich snacks. And that was from Phil Bertino, who is my wonderful co-host, who is also a fantastic cook. And that's how this all started. We just talked about our love of food and our love of cooking and our American/Australian experiences. Welcome, Phil.
Hey, Barbara. Glad you like my non-greasy, Italian meatballs. Remember that advertisement? They're hot and spicy. Well, these ain't hot and spicy meatballs. No. But what we're going to do is I'll make sure that I get that recipe down and put it onto our site so people could look at the recipe.
Oh, they're fantastic. They're nice and cheesy and yummy, and my family didn't deserve them, so it was just me. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and to make them non-greasy, because the traditional way is to fry them up in some olive oil before you put them into your sauce and finish the cooking. I do them in the air fryer, and they just come out great.
Yummy. And I had a little bit of marinara sauce that I made, and I popped that on with a bit of bread, and it was fantastic.
Before we go any further, just remember, if you like what you're listening to, hit subscribe. And we're also now available to listen on iHeartRadio, on Google, Stitcher, Apple, and Spotify.
It's actually hard not to find us now.
That might be a worry. Yeah. Oh, where is he? He's on the radio. Oh no.
Oh, well, just make sure you subscribe, and that way you don't have to hunt around each week. We'll find you. Now, today's foodcast, if you're wondering why it's a greasy food theme, it's because Sunday is Greasy Food Day. Also, greasy food and sports go together.
And it's a big week in sports. We got the World Series going on, the NRL and the AFL finals. And so by next week, it'll be are we going into the grand final?
Yes, grand final.
There we go. Okay, so that's why we're talking about all this, because it just blends together. And, a little history about the World Series, because I get a lot of criticism over here from my Aussie friends and say, oh, how is it the World Series? They're only the Yankees and the Mets play or whatever. It's only Americans that play. Well, they were a Canadian team, So, or there was. Whatever.
Hey, don't forget the Giants. Excuse me.
And the Giants, yeah, I know. But they all say, well, it's only played in America, But the game originated called World Series because the sponsor of the original games was the World newspaper. And so after a little bit of a hiatus, and they started with the series, they called it the World Series in honor of the people that sponsored it.
That is like the American tradition of marketing going hand in hand with an event. Sort of like the ultimate product placement, which we talked about last week.
Yeah, that was the ultimate. And I guess the World paper is no longer around. It hasn't been. I never heard of it.
Yeah, I didn't either. But baseball has always been around. I had a family who had the Battle of the Bay going. I had A's fans and Giants fans, and you'd be the same. You'd have your Mets.
Yeah, Mets. And growing up in, I grew up in in my younger years in the Bronx, and then moved over to Brooklyn. And when I got to Brooklyn, it was crazy because people still like the Dodgers.
Ugh. I personally hate the Dodgers, but that's, another story.
Yeah, that's I guess so. But they still had some, people bleeding blue and being diehard Dodger fans, even though they were the bums they left.
Well, our guest today and your friend is a Yankees person through and through. How did you maintain a friendship?
Well, because he was John, who's our guest, John Pumilia. He's a avid sports fan. So whatever sports there was, he played it. But he's a true diehard Yankee fan. But we went to many, many Met games, and we'll talk about that when he comes on. Uh, and he also, besides being a sports fanatic, he was a great athlete. So he
Oh,
was a great pitcher in high school. Uh, he had that. I mean, he's skinny as a rake now, but he was fat and pudgy when he was younger. And he went out for tryouts for the Mets, and it was only because of his weight that he probably didn't make it.
oh. Well, that's too bad. But luckily, he didn't play for the Mets, so that didn't, sully his soul.
Yeah, but yeah, the money talks, and that takes care of that soothes all the pain.
That's fair enough. Well, I think I'll probably, I'm looking forward to being sort of in the background today, listening to you two. I'll jump in, don't worry. But yeah, I hope he has some good stories about you. This will be interesting. And also, my
Have to edit them all out.
and also my sporting food experience because I've kind of moved here when I was young, so I missed those major league games, but I went to some minor league games and high school games and all that. So mine is nachos and burgers and hot dogs and popcorn and all that sort of stuff. But I know it has grown further, which we'll talk about later. In Australia, I am a sucker for a hot jam donut outside of a footy match, though.
I guess you could call them belly bummers because you eat a hot jam donut, it just like sinks.
Well, you want to make sure it takes the roof of your mouth off too, so it's just right. Now, it is time that we get to a few of these stories, and it's time for our guest. So we want to welcome John Pumilia. Hi, John. I'm just wondering if you can give me a 60-second rundown on the history of you and Phil.
Oh, my Lord. Okay. First of all, I remember Phil was born and raised in the Bronx, and he moved on to our block in Brooklyn on 66th Street. We immediately became friends. We did many, many things together. We, got involved with sports. And then I was married, and then Phil met Jeanette. They came to our house, when we were living in Brooklyn, and everything took off from there. We became very, very good friends throughout the year, and I had the honor of being little Phil's godfather, and Phil and Jeanette are my daughter's godparents. So, we have a long relationship, and we're very blessed to have them in our life.
That's lovely.
So, John, going back, remember we used to go to the Met games using the Borden's coupons?
Oh, sure.
How many times did we get thrown out?
Oh, yeah. Growing up in Brooklyn was tough. Nobody had any money.
Right.
So we had an opportunity of going to see the Mets play at Shea Stadium using Borden coupons. What that was, they were milk containers. And I believe if you cut 10 coupons off of 10 different cartons of milk, you were able to go down to the stadium. And we did that. I remember one experience, Sylvia, if you still recall, one time we went to the beach and we got sunburned.
Yeah.
And we went all the way over. We went all the way down to Shea Stadium. And we were so hot from the sunburn from the beach that we just lasted an inning and we went home.
Yeah.
Look at that. But then Phil's mom, Mrs. B, she works for a company and she got us tickets to go to a Yankee game. And not sure if it was the 1961, 62, somewhere in that era, where the Yankees were very poor. I mean, as far as their ability of playing. And the stadium was empty. And we were sitting directly behind the Yankee dugout. And we just goofed on all the players. And there, Elston Howard was the catcher for the Yankees. And his wife would do Golden Mustard commercials. And we got on him so bad. Hey, we said, Elston, you're still doing those commercials. Where's your wife? And then we got involved with a player. He was the first baseman. His name was Joe Pepitone. And my wife, believe it or not, lived directly across the street from him. Well, there was a time in Joe Pepitone's career where he was AWOL, absent without leave. They couldn't find him for a period of time. And what happened was he went to a wedding that we all knew the person that got married. His name was Dan Marino. And my mom and dad happened to be at that wedding. And Joe Pepitone was so drunk that he was doing, my parents were telling me he was doing such ridiculous things that he failed to show up to the next few Yankee games. So now here we are. We're sitting at this ball game that Phil's mother gave us these tickets. And again, the stadium was empty. If there were a few hundred people, I mean, that was it. And all of a sudden, Pepitone is going out to first base, and, he's throwing the infield ball around, and I yell, hey, Joe, you remember Dan Marino's wedding? And he looked at me.
I remember that. He put his glove up to his face to tell you something.
Yeah. I said, you remember when you were AWOL, you were so drunk? And he put the glove up to his face, and he started walking around first base in a circle. And he comes running back to the dugout, and he says, hey, what would it take to shut you up? I said, just give me a ball. These were things that we did. Great time.
Remember back in the old neighborhood, what was the favorite things to eat all the time? I mean, we had Sbarro's, we had the Bagel Bakery. You worked at your father's grocery store, and I know you used to deliver the groceries and eat half of the stuff before the people got it. What were you eating out of the bags before the people got it?
Oh, no, I'd open up the bag of potato chips, and sometimes they had cream cheese. My father, even though we were Italian, he was part of partners with two other people, and they basically took care of the Jewish trade in Brooklyn. So they had a lot of cheeses with different types of stuff on it. So I would have lox and cream cheese, and I'd open it up and just, take some off of my finger and then rewrap it and give it back to the customer.
Just make sure it's not poison. That's all. Just
Right. But I'll tell you about greasy food. I mean, Phil's dad was a cook. He had a restaurant. And on my son's, John's first communion, we had a big party, and Phil's father catered it. And he made the best sausage and peppers in Brooklyn. I mean, that was greasy, but it was phenomenal.
Yeah.
And we always said that. My wife is sitting here nodding her head.
Well,
saying, Dad made the best sauce and peppers.
Well, we were talking about last week about my father's chicken cacciatore. Do you remember that?
Oh, yes. I remember chicken cacciatore. I remember when he invited us sometimes to your Sunday dinners when you had all your cousins over from the Bronx.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were great times. They were great times, yeah.
Yeah, so, at a lot of the stadiums now, they got all these specialty foods, the Indians have, slider dogs with Fruit Loops. Now, you got to a lot of the minor league baseball games, right? When you were in New York, did you go to, the Yankees had a minor league club in Staten Island?
Yeah.
Did they have anything special there to eat?
Basically, when we saw the Staten Island Yankees, believe it or not, they had sushi. Which I could never understand. Yeah, because sushi was not big in Staten Island. I could see on the West Coast, but out in Staten Island, they had sushi. But most of it's knishes, hot dogs, knishes, pizza. They had pizza at the games, hamburgers, things of that sort. That's basically it.
Yeah, but was the food a bit better, like when we used to go to the Met games and stuff? like we used to say, like make fun of all the guys selling the food because like the hot chocolate was 98% water and stuff like that.
To be honest, I remember, again, not having much money, my parents would make us a bag. You remember we used to bring sandwiches to the games. Yeah.
Yeah, and even going to Brighton, to the beach, and then getting all the sand in the sandwich.
Yeah. That's right. They used to make us all the sandwiches, and that was the whole fun of the whole thing because you tried to eat a ham and cheese sandwich without having sand.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, I remember.
Yeah.
Great time.
Have you been to any games in Georgia?
I refuse to go to any games in Georgia. Things are so different over here. I mean, you know what? Part of me is rooting for the Braves because they haven't been into a World Series in 22 years. So these people, they're so excited about it. But no, I haven't. I'm still very, very loyal to the Yankees. My next door neighbor's from Massachusetts, and he's a diehard Red Sox fan.
Oh God!
And the Red Sox were terrible this year. They didn't even make the playoffs. So I said to them, hey, so you know what the Red Sox are doing when the Yankees were playing Tampa? He said, what? I said, they're watching the game on TV. So he got back at me the other day. He said, hey, you know what the Yankees and the Red Sox are doing? I said, I know, watching your Braves.
All right, you two. I'm gonna have to dive in if you don't mind, because
no, go ahead.
Mind you, I am enjoying this. I can sit back and listen all day. But we are going back. We're talking about baseball, but we're talking about some greasy food today. So, would you mind, John, if I ran past some of the specials that are in certain stadiums and tell me if you would, how would you rate them? So, Phil already talked about the Indians. They've got a slider that has Fruit Loops.
No rating.
No rating. That's all right. Or how about...
No, what did you say?
They have a slider that has Fruit Loops in it.
Oh, God.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Fruit Loops?
Yeah.
Fruit Loops, the cereal?
Yeah.
In a slider, in a hamburger?
Yep.
And a hot dog.
Nah, I would never touch that.
And the Phillies, their special is a donut burger. So it's 2 donuts with a hamburger patty and everything in the middle of it.
Oh, wow. I don't think I go after that either. Wow. The Phillies have that? I thought they'd be more with their cheesesteak.
No, you'd think. And the Red Sox, you're speaking of your favorite team.
Yeah, this is you could bring to your friend.
They've got a fried donut sundae.
Oh boy.
It's a lack of taste.
Yeah.
These are things, honest to God, this is the first time Donovan and I have ever heard this.
Oh, well, I'll give you the last one, which I think I could probably do. So the Pirates have a waffle cone, but in it has kielbasa, pierogi, cheese, sauerkraut, and Russian dressing.
Ooh, what team has that?
Pirates.
Pittsburgh?
Yeah.
Oh, my God, no wonder they suck. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
God is getting heartburn. Just listen to this.
They need Tums as a sponsor.
Whatever happened to that? Just a red hot dog and a beer?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
That's too common. They don't do that anymore, That's going to be about the time limit we got with you, John, and we'll probably try to get you back, or even Donna, because we could talk probably more with food with Donna. She does the cooking in your house.
We would love to have you and Donna back.
Oh, we'd love to. This is awesome. This is fantastic. And I'm so disappointed that I'm not technically inclined that we had to do this on the phone.
We'll work it out.
This is fantastic. Yeah, listen, whenever you're bored and you have nothing to do, give us a call. We'd love to talk.
Okay, yeah, well, I think we know that, John. All right, John, be well. Give my love to everybody.
Thank you.
Okay, have a good night.
Okay.
See ya.
Bye, John. That was great with Johnny. Brings back some memories. We could have gone on forever. Back in a second with the secret code.
Okay, now, after all that, our secret code that you all been waiting for, this week's code is baseball.
Excellent. Now, make sure you use that online, and you can do a click and collect if you make it in the store and don't have it, but it's an online code only. Also, if you come on down, we're lucky enough to extend the hours a little bit this week. So now we're Monday through Saturday, open from 10 to 5, and Sunday from 11 to 4. And we are at 73 Cochrane's Road, Moorabbin.
Now, do we get anything from our listeners that you could tell us?
Oh, I have got a few comments which I'll go into, but if anyone wants to comment on your favorite baseball team, greasy food, or anything we talk about coming up, please send us an email at podcast@usafoods.com.au. So we had some Canadian friends that were quite interested about how Penny, who was here last week, all of our accents are different from each other, but we've all assimilated a bit. Sort of like Kylie Minogue, we don't belong anywhere anymore. Our A's are a little bit funny. And Leslie has contacted us because she knew greasy food was coming up. So she is a fan of lumpia, which is a Filipino sort of fried, like an egg roll sort of thing. So it's got veggies and chicken or pork, and you have to deep fry it, and it has to be deep fried goodness that goes with it, which is sort of like a Filipino taquito, really.
It's better than balut.
Yeah, we don't want to talk about balut.
Okay.
Or Danuta one. And I also had a chat actually with one of our listeners who is talking about a love of zingers, which was my best friend Zaina, who I lost last year, but she has such a love of zingers that I can't look at a box without thinking of her. It's sort of like an American version of a Lamington, I would guess, wouldn't you say?
Yeah. It's a soft, spongy type inside, a little bit of like the same cream they use for everything, like the cheese and the ding-dongs. That's shoved in there, and then it's done with an outside red or white coating with a little bit of coconut.
It's magic. And that also, some of the fancier kids used to get that in their lunchbox when I was at school. But as an adult, it's a weakness. I have been known to hide those in the back of the pantry.
Yeah, when I was growing up, Hostess only had, I think, 3 products at the time. Probably the newest one was Ding Dongs, that was my favorite. And, of course, the Twinkies and the cupcakes. But we also had, in New York, we had Drake's Cakes, which a lot of Easterners would be familiar with. And we had the coffee cake and the Devil Dog. Now, the Devil Dog was as dry as can be because it had like it wasn't soft and spongy like a Twinkie. It was really a cake, but it was a very dry cake with cut in half, looked like a hot dog almost. And you had to have a glass of milk with it.
I am pretty sure both Drake's and Devil Dogs, back to our constant theme, there's been Seinfeld episodes about.
Yeah. And then the other one, the people from Philly, they all had tasty cakes.
Oh, I've heard about that. I haven't seen them. I've seen that. We've had Little Debbie's in here too. I didn't have those in California, so I don't know what we missed out on.
Yeah, I never had those, and I always wondered about the cosmic brownies, what they
I
put
know.
in those.
I shall get those the next time they're in. Now, to go back to Leslie earlier, I'm just wondering, because different parts of the country we grew up in, there's different sort of ethnic food. So my hometown has like a huge Filipino population. So I had lots of Filipino food. Did you ever have that when you came out to California or when you were back east?
Well, when I was back east, primarily growing up was either Italian or Jewish food. So that was it, Then as we got older, then we searched out like for Mexican food when I first got married in New York. And the only place we could find it was downtown Brooklyn. This little restaurant. They made some really great Mexican food. There was one dish that was my favorite, was a rice dish made with calamari or squid and the ink sauce done into it. Unbelievable. That was so good. Then when we moved to the West Coast, primarily skipped the Italian food. There wasn't that much out there. And you had all the, mostly Mexican food. Was the thing to go out to eat.
Oh, that's right, because you need some margaritas to go with those too. It washes the grease down when you have all the fried good stuff.
Yeah, we used to go to this one place, Caliente, near John Wayne Airport on Sunday brunch. That was a big thing back then, 20 years plus ago. And the thing that they had there on a Sunday brunch, which I'd never forget, because they are fried, was those little hot peppers stuffed with cheese and then coated and fried, and then
Chili rellenos.
chili rellenos. Oh, God, I would eat them. They would make me cry. They were so hot, but they were so good. Oh,
And it's a good hangover cure too. It's the hot and the grease.
well, you just drink more beer and margaritas.
And the hair of the dog. See? Guys, well. Now, this is handy that we're doing that because it is time to get into Nat Nosh.
Ooh, our favorite part of the show.
Just don't make me choose.
Let's start with today. We've got 3 things today. National Pumpkin Cheesecake Day.
Cheesecake is good. And
There is no bad
with
cheese.
pumpkin spice, right?
Oh, yes. Yes, pumpkin spice. And you know what would be good is if you did the crust with like a ginger snap cookie. That would be really good.
Yeah, sort of the ice cream we sell here, that Patent Sticks, they do it like that ginger snap topping on their ice cream sandwiches.
Oh, yeah, they have. Yes, they have like a Florentine top and they've got a ginger one as well. Those are really good. And if anyone's looking for pumpkin spice, we've got it. So we can help you out with all your, even though it's spring, we do fall baking here when we're falling back to what we miss about home. And on the same theme, it's National Caramel Apple Day.
Yeah, I remember the caramel apples, like especially Halloween, because going back in the day, people made homemade stuff to give to the kids, and one of them was caramel apples. And I remember how sticky they were and sticking to your teeth. And the dentist just loved those ones.
I was going to say it's the dentist's favorite treat, or popcorn balls. They were good. Now, my dad would never let me accept a caramel apple because he was a police officer and used to go x-ray my candy. But I think he probably ate them when I wasn't looking.
Yeah, don't eat that one. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not good. My mother did that. Somehow it was always the Nestle's Crunch that looked a bit suspect that I couldn't have. Now, it's National Mezcal Day.
Mezcal from the guava plant.
That is exactly right. Yeah. So it's sort of like a tequila, but not.
Yeah, it's like, and it has like a smoky background to it. Not my favorite. And that's the one with the worm in it too. Some of the mezcal.
Yeah, now it would definitely be the end of the night if I got to that. Yeah. But I haven't tried it. I'm going to have to put that on my list of things to try before the end of the year.
What, eating the worm?
No, just a nice cocktail. If I have too many, though, you never know what might happen.
Yeah. No, I'd rather just stick to regular plain tequila.
And tomorrow is National Nut Day. I don't mean if that's people that are nutty or nuts. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I was just going to say, there was a lot of people like that in New York. And back in the time, people would walk down the street and, they were whacked out because they're talking and, they're not talking to anybody other than themselves, or they're yelling at each other, themselves. But now you can't tell because they got the little things in their ear and then actually talking to somebody on the other end of the line. So it gets confusing, like, are they talking to somebody? What's up? Anyway.
Oh, well, in Northern California, it can be, depending on what you think, it can be a little bit crunchy granola nutty as well. Now, and that leads to Friday, which I'm so excited about because I love this thing so much, National Boston Cream Pie Day, which is not a pie. Yeah. It's a magnificent cake.
Oh, it is a cake. That's right. Yeah, it's the cake. I'm thinking of banana cream pie or chocolate cream pie, but no, now I remember the Boston cream pie, mostly on Boston cream donuts.
Oh, yes. Yes, I have indulged in a few of those. So it's sort of a vanilla cake or butter cake with a very thick layer of custard in the middle.
Yeah.
And then chocolate just poured all over the top of it. Oh my God, That was fantastic. I need to, might have to make one of those and bring it in.
That would be.
And Saturday, oh goody, it's National Bologna Day.
Oh, National Bologna.
You can fry it. You can, have it with some Miracle Whip and mustard. Roll it up.
Back in the old neighborhood, we didn't eat bologna, because you're always scared. Like the bologna came from Jersey, and the mafia would throw bodies in the bologna machine. So
Okay.
it was great because if you get a good batch, it had like a 5 o'clock shadow, held a mustard.
Well, I'm sorry. I only had the Oscar Mayer version. I might have had like a more protected childhood.
And also on Saturday is, you hear that? Good and plenty, good and plenty. Charlie says, love my good and plenty.
Good and plenty day, my favorite candy. That will, if you eat enough of them, your mouth goes numb.
Well, I never did because, as you know from previous episodes, I hate them.
Well, it's funny. With this whole day has two of the best themes to it because the Oscar Mayer bologna song is a jingle that just keeps on giving. I might have to have a few mezcals to sing it one day, but you can definitely YouTube My Bologna Has a First Name. It's Oscar.
Now, I also remember going back to the Good and Plenty with the song and the advertisement. Well, we have here the theater box, but the original box was quite small. And after you finish the candies, you could actually use the box like a whistle.
Oh, I never did that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I have to try that, but I'm going to take a theater box home from work, and I'm going to indulge. Sunday is the day that has brought us all together today, National Greasy Foods Day.
We all have memories.
Just mostly being, I think, you can start with bacon and sausage for breakfast. That's a good grease.
Yeah, that's good grease. And the last time I was in, which we talk about a lot, is Kansas. And with my niece and my sister, we went to the local Greasy Spoon. And I had to have something that's really down to that area, what people eat there and what you really can't get. You could get elsewhere, but the original place for it is chicken fried steak with great.
Oh, I love that.
Oh, and God, it was just so good. It wasn't all that greasy, which is a disappointment, but it was just good. But I have had some of them where they taste really good, but you're eating like 98% grease,
So it's like a minute steak, pounded, floured, and fried like chicken, which is where the name comes from.
And then with that gravy over it.
A white gravy over the top of it. I actually, when I went to New York years ago, my stepdad, he grew up or spent part of his time in New York. He's from Louisiana, then moved to New York, then moved to Los Angeles. But he loved knishes. So I went down just before we got in the cab to get to the airport and got some knishes for him and flew him back to California. And so that's like, I got him potato ones, but they're sort of like a fried dumpling.
Well, actually, they're
heavier,
fried, and they're filled with potato, or you could get a kasha one, a kasha knish, which is probably a little bit more healthier for you because kasha is buckwheat. And then you remember the Seinfeld episode about the kasha and the smell that it in the midst. That's one of my favorite things. I love knish. I always loved knishes when I was a kid because, again, it's crusty, and the old delis used to put it on the grill next to the hot dogs, and would sit there, and the crust would get really, really crunchy. So over here, we do get it in once in a while. We're out of it right now, but we do bring in the square knishes from Brooklyn, and they're in the freezer. But the best way for me to cook them is going back to that air fryer. It just makes the crust so good.
They are yummy. I'll have to revisit that as well. And we'll have to go on to Monday because it's National Pumpkin Day. So it could be jack-o'-lanterns, it could be pumpkin pie, it could be pumpkin cake, it could be pumpkin bread, pumpkin soup.
There's a lot to do with pumpkins.
You could get a pumpkin spice latte. You can do the whole gambit. Again, as you know, North Americans, it's spring here, but on a few of those days where it's still chilly, you can't pretend you're back and it's fall with all the pumpkin season.
And the next one is Pretzel Day, which is on the same day, which is Monday. So it's National Pretzel Day. Now, my thoughts of pretzels was going to the Ranger games at Madison Square Garden, and you come out, and of course it's cold, and you got these guys with little barbecues, with coal underneath it, and that's how they heat up these giant pretzels, onto the barbecue. And that was just like a memory of going to the Ranger games during the winter. That was always you could smell the how barbecue smells, the coals burning.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and then if you're lucky, you won't get one that's charred bird.
Well, it's funny because you can get the crunchy ones, but I love a soft pretzel. I do miss
Yeah,
those.
these are soft pretzels. You just heat it up on the barbecue.
Oh, well, I'll have to give that a shot. I have got so much homework to do this week.
Yep.
And
That's reading. And the other thing about pretzels, which many people don't know, the soft pretzels, they're done into after they roll them, then they put them into a wash, similar to like a bagel.
okay.
Added in that wash is actually lye. Not the lye that you use for cleaning and disinfecting. They use that into the wash, and there are a few other baked goods that done the same way.
Well, you know what goes with beer or with pretzels is beer, because Thursday, Tuesday is American Beer Day. Again, we've got another beer day.
Yeah, well, that's like the 6 in a row or something, right? But it also goes with National Potato Day, which is if you're gonna have beer, well, French fried potatoes, potato crisps, or just out of the bag potatoes goes with beer. And beer in America has really evolved quite a bit. Now, going back, when I first started drinking beer, I could not take Budweiser. It was just way too acidy. That has changed. That doesn't taste like the old Bud used to change, 20, 30 years ago. And the same thing, I just had some Beck's beer.
Mm-hmm.
And being a Ranger fan back in the day, Beck's was one of the sponsors. And of course, if you go to the game, you could have Beck's beer. And that was so hopsy and so fruitful and stuff like that. Now you taste the Beck's, everything's gone. It's the same thing with Heineken. Heineken doesn't taste like it used to taste, even though they say that everything's changed. But now, if you want a beer like that used to taste like Heineken or used to taste like a Beck's, you have to buy an IPA.
Well,
Yeah, hopsy stuff.
When I got married, our groomsmen came over and they went to Luigi Murphy's for a drink, and they kept ordering Bud Light because they thought it was light alcohol. But we're like, because they go, we can drive back. It's like, it's low calorie.
Yeah, I remember playing golf with Uncle Leo, and these girls come by in the little carts, right? And they're selling beer, on the golf course and sandwiches and stuff like that. And of course, it's hot there, so they not wearing too much, but that gets people to buy more beer. So we had like 2 cans each of the Silver Bullet, which is Coors, in a 16-ounce can, and it's light beer. And like after the first one, it's like, whoa, this is the alcohol content's like 5.5 or something. It's pretty high.
Right, before we wrap, we've missed a couple of epic greasy fried food things. I have to say the best greasy food item I have seen is Paula Deen, the queen of butter and deep fried, did a deep fried cheesecake. So she got a piece of cheesecake and she put it in a wonton wrapper. She then put, I think, caramel sauce inside, wrapped it up, battered it, fried it, took it out, then put powdered sugar and fudge sauce on it. And I think you need a defibrillator served with that one.
I think so. Yeah, that sounds really good, bud.
That's right. I thought deep fried Twinkies and Mars bars were like, the thing, but she beat it. And I know you and Jeanette have gone to a few state fairs, so maybe you can tell us a little bit about some of the Midway fried delicacies.
Well, we never went to a state fair when we lived in America, I guess. I don't know why, because probably the New York State Fair was up north or something. But we went to this Texas State Fair. So I've been there twice, once with Jeanette. And it is amazing. The Midway is nothing but eating. And if you go Google the Texas State Fair, there is a sidebar onto that shows you all the winners every year of all the foods that were there. And of course, they're all fried. Anything they could put on the stick into a deep fryer, and then they pick out the winner from that. So it is just, if you've never been to a state fair, it runs for a whole month, the Texas State Fair. It is definitely worth the trip to go.
I wonder if the cardiologists are busy about 6 weeks after.
Well, I think in Houston, if I'm not mistaken, it's the if you're going to have any heart problems, that's the place to go because they have the largest population of cardiologists.
What was the best or fried on a stick item that you saw?
Well, I had the first time I was there. I had it was it's fried jambalaya. I had that was one of the winners, and that's probably the most memorable one. But just recalling that now, there was another fried episode I had when I was up in Canada in Montreal. They did fried tacos, right, with sushi, and they were incredible.
I can't imagine that, but I'd give it a shot because it's 3 of my favorite things.
But anyway, we got to keep on moving. Next week's theme is Halloween. Boom!
Get ready to get spooky. And if anyone wants to tell us about their Halloween traditions, or if anyone's scared someone to pass out, you can email us on podcast@usafoods.com.au.
Yeah, and that be for me. That's good all, folks.
I'll see you later.
Later, dude.
Once you find a love like mine, you know that love is true. Understand, I'm just a man with a pork fat baby back blues. Yeah, understand, I'm still your man with a pork fat baby back blues.
Brilliant.